1999 to 2002, Gordon Brown sold off 400 tons of Britain's gold. The headline reads, Max, revealed why Gordon Brown sold Britain's gold at a knockdown price. But it seemed as if the Treasury were almost seeking to achieve the lowest price, according to the Telegraph. So they're now looking back on it, and they found out that one globally significant U.S. bank in particular is understood to have been heavily short on 2 tons of gold, enough to call into question its solvency if redemption occurred at the prevailing price. Faced with the prospect of a global collapse in the banking system, the Chancellor took the decision to bail out the banks by dumping Britain's gold, forcing the price down and allowing the banks to buy back gold at a profit, thus meeting their borrowing obligations.
Right, this is the beginning of a major period in manipulation by governments, which now the latest chapter is the LIBOR, Barclays, Bank of England manipulation. But going back to this gold manipulation, there was a major bank in the U.S. short gold. They had sold gold that they did not own. Price of gold started to tick up. And to cover that short, Gordon Brown sold half of Britain's gold into the open market in such a way as to guarantee the worst possible price, to guarantee front running by every dealer and hedge fund in the world, to guarantee that this bank, this unnamed American bank, could pocket enough profit to offset the loss that they would have incurred had the market simply been allowed to function ordinarily. Now, this is coming on top of the 1987 mass government intervention on Wall Street by Reagan after the crash of '87, when the government started buying S&P futures. In my mind, this is the most outrageous case of a government, Gordon Brown, setting in motion massive government intervention in the market, gold, to bail out a bank. We also had Alan Greenspan bailing out long-term capital management. After that fund went bankrupt, causing interest rates to drop. I mean, people talk about LIBOR being manipulated down. Remember, Greenspan crashed interest rates just to bail out long-term capital management. This has been a pattern now for decades.
Yeah, and as you see here, though, this is all a pattern of literally these bankers are running around naked because they're high on synthetic derivatives, on artificial stimulants. And because of this, we're constantly naked. The entire global economy has zero hedge, as it were. We're unhedged against their quadrillion in derivatives floating over our heads. And the other thing about this is, apparently, according to the Telegraph, the person who convinced Gordon Brown to dump Britain's gold to help this unnamed bank in America was Goldman Sachs's Gavin Davies. Now, Gavin Davies went from Goldman Sachs on to run the BBC. So is it any wonder that the British population is not told the dangers of all these synthetic stimulants and derivatives floating through the veins of their financial system? Right.
A great point is that the major media is part of the racket, along with the banks, the central banks, the rating agencies, and the big 4 or big 5 accountants, also the media.
Actually, going back to this story about people on bath salts running around naked, a Phoenix police